Hello, and thank you for participating in this module provided by Idaho CESTA. This is a training module to support Beacon Basics, Behavior Education Application Cohort Network. Welcome to the Beacon December training module. In this module, we'll explore how to determine the replacement skill and interventions we plan to use to address the behavior we want to see decrease. We will do this by exploring how to use data to select a skill, choosing interventions to teach the skill, formalizing a plan to teach and respond during the instruction, as well as understanding and using evidence-based practices. Learning Objective 1. Using data to select a skill. By the time we are prepared to select a skill to teach to replace the problem behavior, the team has access to all types of data. This data is full of information that will allow the team to make an individualized plan to assist the individual in learning a new skill. Selecting a replacement skill involves ensuring that the team understands the individual's function or need. More than that, the team needs to deepen their understanding of the individual's circumstances, as well as all the possible details within teaching a replacement skill. We will begin by reviewing the close connection between the function or need of the individual and the replacement skill that will be taught. The team has used data and analysis to determine a hypothesized function of the problem behavior through the functional behavior assessment process. All behaviors meet a function. Another way of saying that is that everything we do serves a purpose. When selecting a replacement skill, the original purpose of the problem behavior, aka the hypothesized function, should match the purpose of the replacement skill. All behavior comes in different forms, which is the way it appears when observed. The term functional equivalence is used when describing different forms of a behavior that result in the same consequence. An example of this is getting to work. One coworker may ride their bike to work, one coworker may carpool, while another may drive. The form of these behaviors is different, but the resulting consequence is the same, getting to work. Not all functionally equivalent replacement skills are ready to teach without more consideration. Everyone has nuances that require thoughtful attention. The team should explore how well the replacement skill may generalize. Generalizing a skill is the extent to which an individual can use it outside of the instructional setting and without the supports of the instructional setting. The new behavior should be generic enough in its use that it will work in multiple settings with multiple people. This allows the team to teach fewer skills to result in the same consequences. An example of a functionally equivalent replacement skill may be getting attention from a teacher. Teaching a student to raise their hand to get attention has better generalization than teaching a student to vocally request attention by using the teacher's name. Once the student is no longer in that teacher's class, the skill is no longer usable. The generalization of the skill is one way the team can evaluate how durable the skill is. Evaluating how long the skill will be useful for the individual is also important. Individuals should be taught skills that match their age and will grow with them. The replacement skill should grow with the student and continue being effective. For students that are learning self-help skills related to toileting, the team may consider teaching a skill related to requesting to go to the bathroom. Teaching the phrase bathroom break or bathroom please is more durable than teaching go potty. Replacement skills are idiosyncratic, meaning highly individualized to the person learning. It is beneficial that the team gathers information to better understand the individual's learning history. By doing this, they will have a better understanding if the selected replacement skill is something the individual can learn. When the team explores an individual's strengths, they will have a better understanding about the conditions at play when the individual is at their best. Student records, team member reports, progress monitoring, and assessments give a window into the areas that are strengths. We may have a better understanding of when an individual is more likely or motivated to participate. The team could look at ways to embed their instruction of the replacement skill within a strength area or time of high participation. This allows the individual to learn something new and potentially difficult when they feel most confident or motivated to participate. For example, take a student that refuses to answer subject matter questions during whole class participation and Q&A. The team may select to teach the replacement skill of vocally saying, "I need a minute," to replace withdrawal or refusal behaviors. The team may find that the student has a history of enjoying small group work with creative projects. The motivation of small group work and creative projects may be the place where the team embeds instruction of the new phrase, "I need a minute," initially. It is worth taking the time to explore the form or the observable action the student uses for other, more adaptive behaviors. When the new skill or behavior shares a similar physical form or shape to other behaviors that are being used, it is known as a topographical response. The team could look at skills that are being used in other contexts, evaluate their form, and match that form to the new replacement skill. In this way, the individual is learning only the new variation of the skill, but not learning a completely new observable action. This simplifies the learning to only one new, potentially difficult skill instead of two or more. An example of this would be a student that is already using a communication system by pressing a button to receive help. The form or the observable action is pressing a button. If the student's need was to gain attention, the replacement skill that matches topographically would be selecting a new button, such as, I have something to say. Understanding the individual's learning history can inform our understanding of how quickly the individual can acquire new skills. Progress monitoring of past goals, standardized testing, pre-post assessments, and other data can be a rich source of information. The team is likely working to replace a well-practiced and highly effective problem behavior. Understanding the individual's skill acquisition history can highlight how long it might take to replace the problem behavior. It may also show the team the frequency and type of interventions needed to be highly effective in their instruction. An example of this may be reviewing the rate of spelling word acquisition for a student. Understanding that group instruction, modeling, and practice were highly effective. This may translate to using following a written task schedule as a replacement behavior for being off task. It may take the learner 5 school days, with 15 minutes of group instruction, modeling, and feedback to acquire the words written for the task schedule. Many teams want to get the individual to the finish line as quickly as possible. Selecting a replacement skill that is too difficult or has too many steps will impact the student's learning and the sustainability of the instruction. The team will be selecting a replacement skill that falls into one of two categories. They may initially select a skill that is discrete, meaning that it only requires a single response or action. They may select a skill that is a sequence of responses to perform a complex skill known as a chained task. The team should select a skill that is short, easy to teach, and allows that individual to get their function or need met quickly. For a chained task, the team may decide to have the student only complete the first response or the last response in the sequence before they get their needs met. For example, an individual that has difficulty packing up to go home at the end of the day needs to have the packing up broken down into smaller steps. This could mean that the discrete skill is just putting their pencil on their desk. This could also mean that they place their pencil into their backpack pocket as the first step in the series of responses required for packing up your backpack. Either way, the team will be able to meet the student's need immediately after correctly showing that single response. The team needs to be planning long-term for the replacement behavior. Often, the initial replacement skill is the first step toward a terminal goal. The most important task for the team is to provide good instruction that will quickly progress the individual toward mastering that discrete skill or single step in a task chain so the instruction can continue. For a discrete skill, the team can take that initial mastered skill and begin adding or removing elements to shape the behavior closer and closer to the terminal goal. For a chain task, the team can add an additional step in the sequence onto the initial step to move toward the terminal goal. Either way, the team will be instructing to mastery criteria, and then introducing again until the individual has replaced the problem behavior with something more adaptive. For a student that throws items at someone to get their attention, the team may want the student to gain attention by approaching the person, keeping personal space, and then verbally gaining attention. The team is going to start with verbally gaining attention until it is mastered, and then add the steps of approaching the person to shape that behavior toward the terminal goal. Focus on considerations around the effort or amount of energy it will take for the individual to get their need met. We know that behavior likes to take the path of least resistance. Think about your daily tasks for a moment. Do you complete your household duties through complicated steps, or have you found the most efficient way to complete them? We are hardwired to conserve our energy and find the easiest ways to complete effortful tasks. Response effort refers to the amount of effort a person must put forth to complete a specific behavior. We know that behavior is learned through repeatedly getting a preferred consequence. We learn quickly through modeling or our own learning experiences how to get to a preferred consequence with the least amount of effort. When we are teaching new replacement skills, we need to ensure that the behavior can happen with little effort to get the preferred consequence, which is the function. An example of this would be a student that avoids completing math worksheets to get to the preferred consequence of escaping to what they want to do. Their current effort during a problem behavior includes whining, head down on desk, negotiating with the teacher, attempting to start the work, sometimes tearing up their paper. This effort could take up to 20 minutes. That takes a lot of energy and effort. The replacement skill might include completing a worksheet with half of the problems completed and someone scribing for them to complete the rest. The team could argue that completing half of the problems takes less energy for the student, and most likely the instructor. The replacement skill that the team selects must be functionally equivalent to the problem behavior. Imagine ordering lemonade at a restaurant, but the waiter brings you a soda. You correct the waiter and order lemonade, but they keep bringing you soda. If we don't correctly match the replacement skill to the function, the individual is going to continue ordering lemonade while we bring them soda. Behavior is communication, and we need to be instructing a new way to communicate for the individual. The new behavior skills should meet their need for the context that they are in. For example, if a student's function or need is to remove the demand of an assignment, there are many things we could teach. We can decide if we want to teach that disruptive behavior gets the individual removed from the classroom and the demand, or we could teach them how to request just a minute to remove the demand. Both are functionally equivalent. When planning for problem behavior and instructing replacement skills, the team should be thinking about meeting needs. Meeting needs is the practice of providing planned consequences. So the replacement skill is used again and again and again. We have discussed the replacement skills being functionally equivalent. However, when we are instructing initially, the student demonstrating the replacement skill needs to have that function, that need, met every time or as much as possible. The more frequent the need is met, the more frequently the student encounters preferred consequences. This directly impacts how fast the student will acquire the skill. If the team has planned well, the initial replacement skill should be a low effort, quick response that gets the student's needs met every single time. In future modules, you will learn how to start changing your planned consequences once the initial replacement behavior has been mastered. The team should do a thorough job assessing and documenting the form and type of attention the individual receives. Beyond meeting the functionally equivalent need, instructors could change the form, the amount, and the quality of the attention toward different behaviors that are being demonstrated. Behavior-specific praise should always be utilized alongside the individual getting their function met when teaching a replacement skill. Instructor attention communicates an incredible amount of information to the individual, so things like eye contact, proximity, volume of voice, intensity of voice, body language, and specific words contribute to planning for effective instruction and planning for effective consequences. Section completed.